Solution for number 3. First thing I would do actually is rewrite what's inside the parentheses here as 5 to the negative 1. Raising 5 to the negative 1 to the x, we would write that as 5 to the negative x. So, in other words, when we graph the function y equals 5 to the x, we know it looks like that. When we replace, so what we've been doing all year long is we've been talking about the different transformations of a parent function. So if our parent function is 5 to the x, we replace x with the opposite of x, and what do? Well, replacing x with the opposite of x means that we're going to be reflecting the graph of 5 to the x about the y-axis. So that just looks like this. And I kind of made that turn a little bit too soon, but the key point has the coordinates 0, 1. Let's do the same over here. Let's rewrite what's inside the parentheses as 2 to the negative 1. And so then we could, we know that from the last section here, we've got power to a power, and we know we multiply. So we have y equals the opposite of 2 to the opposite of x. Now we have two transformations. The opposite of x in place of x means that we're going to reflect the graph of 2 to the x about the y-axis, and this minus sign on the outside means we're going to reflect the graph of 2 to the x about the x-axis. So here we start with 2 to the x, then we reflect that about the line y about the y-axis, and then we take that guy and we reflect it about the x-axis. Do you have to go in that order? No. So let's do that over here. We don't have to go in that order. We could reflect about the x-axis first. So here's the original graph of 2 to the x. And then if we reflect about the x-axis first, negative 2 to the x would look like that. And then we reflect this graph about the y-axis, and so therefore we get a graph that looks like that. So I didn't draw that very well. I'm going to have it come in kind of gradually, and as soon as it hits that key point, it takes off. And we have that key point at 0, negative 1. And that's it. How about this one? Let's rewrite what's inside here as 2 to the negative 1 raised to the x would be negative 2 to the negative x plus 4. So we take that same graph that we graphed number 4 and we move that graph up 4 units. So moving the graph up 4 units, I'll put my x-axis a little bit lower here, and we know that we just graphed this one over there. So negative 2 to the negative x looks like that. The key point is at 0, negative 1. Now we're going to take that key point and we're going to move it up 1, 2, 3, 4 because of that plus 4 right there. So we're going to move it up 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the key point is at 0, 3. Well, there's something else that moved up 4 units. Can you predict what I'm going to say? The thing that moved up 4 units that we didn't talk about for numbers 3 and 4, it's there, but we didn't talk about it. The thing that's there that also moved up 4 units is originally we had a horizontal asymptote right there at the x-axis. That's y equals 0. So that had to also move up 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the horizontal asymptote moving up 4 units helps us see how we have to draw the graph. When we draw the graph, same exact graph, moves up 4 units, but here it's more clear that we can see the horizontal asymptote, which is at y equals 4. We have our key point right there at 0, 3, and we're done. So number 6, again, rewriting what's inside the parentheses here, 1/4, we're going to rewrite that as 4 to the negative 1. Now, this becomes a little bit more tricky because now we're distributing this negative 1 to both of these terms, and that does pose a bit of a problem. We're going to go ahead and do that anyway, and we're going to write that as 1, I'll write it as 1 minus x. So actually, I have to go to a meeting right now, so I'm going to do this video later. We'll finish number 6 in a separate video.